Hi, I'm Andrew from Gameosity, and today we're going to be doing a Kickstarter preview for a new game coming out from Daily Magic Games. What we have here in front of us is a pretty interesting little game called Merchants of Araby. We're still going to Photoshop in a thing here, right? Don't make it a camel. So, Merchants of Araby is a game for 2 to 4 players in which each person is going to be representing a trade house. They'll take on the roles of a trade prince or princess, and you never really hear about the trade kings and queens, which I think is kind of weird. But anyway, each of these merchant houses has the goal of amassing the greatest fortune, because in this game, money is victory points. And here we have Kickstarter prototype components. In case it's not clear, everything you see is Kickstarter prototype. It's likely to be much prettier after the Kickstarter goes off. But at any rate, the way merchant princes and princesses get rich is by sending caravans out into the desert. And the way they do that is by gathering resources. So let's say you're Bayan Safar, one of the 4 merchants at the start of the game. Now, her native ability is that she has an inroad with cloth. Let's just say silks, for instance. And so she might want to send a caravan to Jafuf, which is a silly word and fun to say. As you can see, this caravan has room for cloth, and it also has room for... those symbols mean magic? I don't know. Some of the iconography is probably going to change in the final game. It's pretty awesome if they're trading in magic. But anyway, she could, on her turn, at any point during her turn, activate, produce 1 cloth, and then add a camel to the caravan. Now you see, what's interesting about caravans is here you can see they might be in lines, columns, or rows. And the problem is, if a camel isn't in a completed row or column, then they're going to get lost in the desert. So in this caravan you can see, well, that lone camel is in a lot of trouble. So what is she to do? Well, she might have hired on an additional merchant. This particular one cost fabric coin to bring into play. This merchant can also be activated in order to produce a cloth. And that's all well and good. But again, not a complete line. What's she to do? Well, maybe she had this spice merchant who can produce spices. Maybe she had this sorceress who can manipulate products, turning one into another. Create a spice, turn it into a cloth, add a camel, and this caravan's on its way. So as you can see, Merchants of Araby isn't just a set collection game, but it's also a tableau building game. You'll be bringing on these merchants and these allies, and sometimes you'll be activating these virtue cards, which are kind of like one-off effects that do good stuff, and sometimes you'll just straight up summon genies to do things for you. And you'll do all of that in the name of sending out these caravans to great profit. But here's the thing. It's not as simple as it sounds, because no matter how hard you work, you're probably not going to have enough time or actions or resources to do everything that you need to do. For example, this caravan that we built here is, well, perfect in this example, but what if I didn't have, let's say, these 2, and I was left with an incomplete row or column? What am I supposed to do in that case? Well, that's where we get to the most interesting part of Merchants of Araby, because you're not just playing a game about merchants, you're playing a game as merchants. And that means everything's for sale. And I mean anything's for sale. Any agreement that you can come to with another player is legitimate. So let's go back to this example. They've managed to get 2 of the green camels on this caravan, and then this player, green, says, hey, I have this 1 empty space, and I see that you, yellow player, can produce a good and also can manipulate that good to be whatever you want. I would love it if you would produce an extra cloth for me. And yellow can say yes or no, and then yellow can stipulate what they want for it. For example, maybe they're perfectly willing to do that, donate a cloth on green's behalf, but they then say, but in exchange for that, I want to be able to use my ability to create 2 magic to add 2 of my camels to your caravan. And as long as green says that's fine, well, they've got themselves a bargain. And incidentally, they've got 2 complete lines, and this caravan will score all 5 of those camels, not just green's 3. Because you see, the deal is, everything's for sale. Anything you can agree on. I can agree to give you my resources on my turn. I can agree to do you a favor on your turn. We can bargain over cards in hand, merchants in our tableaus, spaces in our caravans, goods that our cards can produce. We can even exchange victory points if that's what we want. Everything's for sale. And that's what makes Merchants of Araby so interesting. It's also what makes it a pretty vicious game. Alright, so I need 1 gem to finish this camel line, and you can produce it, right?
Yeah. But I'm gonna need 2 spaces on your card.
2 spaces? You're already all over this caravan. You're gonna make a tremendous profit.
Yeah, but if you don't finish these lines, no one's going anywhere.
It's 2, though. It's 2 spaces.
Alright, how about 2 coins right now?
Diana, do you have an offer? So as I said, the most important mechanic in Merchants of Araby is to complete these caravans. And all the work that you do, all the bargaining, all the resource management and allocation that you do to send your camels on caravan come to fruition at the beginning of the following turn from the turn that you started. So if you look down here, we've got a caravan that is as complete as we're going to get it. And you can see where green player jumped on here, and purple player managed to bribe her way on too. And in order to resolve this caravan, we'd take a card, and these are the resource cards, the merchants, the allies. All of them have on the back caravan resolution rules, which I love when a card does more than one thing. And first thing we would do is we would look and we would see if there were any unbroken lines. And on this caravan there are none, so none of these poor devils get lost out in the sands. Then we check on this caravan's resolution card where the raiders strike. So space 9, nuts, one of mine, gets removed, and at this point the broken lines don't mean anything. And then the caravan pays out. Top line, safest from raiders, but also generally worth the least. Middle is middle in both ways, and the high risk, high reward caravan spots are in the lowest line. Wherever you have camels, you get coins. Coins are victory points. Victory points are kind of everything. So I'll level with you. The bottom line is that most of us don't really like bargaining games. We don't like bidding wars. We don't like auctions. We don't like haggling. It just seems petty and annoying somehow. So you might think that Merchants of Araby just wouldn't be a game for us. And on paper, it isn't. But in actuality, it is. We all, well, to a slightly lesser degree, Jess, but most of us really love this game. She just doesn't like the whole haggling thing, and I understand why. But there's something about the fact that this is built on a tableau building engine, which is really fun. The set collection is clean. The rules are very simple, and so it makes a lot of space for this bargaining interaction that makes the game so interesting. And that's going to make Merchants of Araby a completely different game depending on who you play it with. When we play tested it with just our little circle of friends, me, Jess, Josh, it was a very low-key game with only a few little tense spikes where it was close to someone going back on their word after a deal or something like that. But generally speaking, we all made really positive deals. We made deals where everybody benefited, and so we were able to score a lot of points and get a lot of camels. But if you're playing with cutthroat people, well, that's going to open up a whole different game mode, because they're going to have the option of either driving a hard bargain or promising something and going back on it later, or any sort of just awful business tactic that's designed to just twist the knife in your side as they take the money right out of your pocket. And of course, the only recourse is to do it right back at them. So, is Merchants of Araby a game for us? Absolutely, as long as we play it with people we like. What we have here is sort of an anomaly. It's a game that uses mechanics that normally my group doesn't enjoy, but in this form really sings. The design by J Treat is excellent. The mechanics are smooth and functional. This is a prototype, obviously, and that's why we have metallically colored cubes, which are actually really nice, instead of coins. And the art is prototypal too, but we've seen the fantastic job that Daily Magic has done on its Valeria series, so we have every reason to think that this final product is going to look amazing. In particular, the art by Zulkarnain Basri. I am so sorry for that. Words not speak great. The art is fantastic, and even though this is just a simple printout, it already looks great. So we expect the presentation and the mechanics are going to be just excellent. We're really looking forward to checking this out on Kickstarter, and we hope you do too. I'm Andrew from Gameosity. Thanks for watching our video. If you like what you saw, please like, comment, favorite, and subscribe. Share us everywhere. Check out our reviews on Gameosity.com. Until then, see you next game.